Hello, and welcome to the Perry Connection. I'm your host, Jessie Barth, and with me in the studio is Jill Gould.
Hi.
Hi, and welcome to Perry, not only to the show, but to Perry, New York.
Yeah.
We're so excited to have you because you are an entrepreneur
hmm
and you are opening a shop at 1 North Main Street in Perry.
Yep.
So, can you tell us about yourself, Jill, and where did you come from, and what can you tell us about
Okay.
yourself and your
Do you want
life?
to
And
go all the way back?
yeah,
How far
let's
back?
start back to the very
The very
beginning.
beginning. Okay. I guess I grew up in Elba. We like to call it the Northern Kingdom of Genesee County.
And why is that?
Because the geography changes kind of when you start driving from like the southern tier, Wyoming County,
Okay.
up to, and the soil types changes, and
Mhm.
so this is the Southern Kingdom.
Okay,
in,
that's
like,
good to
Wyoming
know.
County, yeah, it's more of a family joke.
Yeah.
But it does kind of reflect agriculture in the region and just the nuances of it and how it kind of changes.
Well, I love it right off the bat because it sounds like a term of endearment, and that you love the kingdom.
Yeah.
You love living in the North Kingdom.
Well, no, I guess I grew up there, but now you always like the rolling, like we go on Pavilion and it was like the big hill and there's hills there, and Elba it's like flat, big fields.
Okay.
And you come down to like Wyoming County and you've got hills and ridges and
Right.
valleys, and
Right.
with that comes a different topography.
Sure.
But anyways, it's a little bit of a tangent. I guess I do love agriculture,
And why's that?
I love seeing like humans and animals and the earth.
Because
Come
you
together.
grew up on a farm.
Yeah, I grew up on a farm,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like an art form, really.
I love that. Can you expound that or
Um,
expand it?
I think we were kind of talking about how there's different parts of the country and people farm differently, and
Mhm.
so every farmer with their different toolkit, which can be tractors, chemicals, people, labor. There's like a whole spectrum of what
Right.
that toolkit looks like, and
Mhm.
depending on their land and the water on their land or type of animal they like to work with, they're really an artist with the land. Is kind
Yes.
of how I think about it. And yeah, I kind of go back to architecture. Like I like to think about vernacular architecture. Like people built things differently in different
Mhm.
places of the
Mhm.
world, and it's an easy visual to think about. And
Right.
I think you could like they built igloos in certain places and they build log cabins and things like that. And farming's kind of the same
Right.
thing.
Well, it seems to me there's a need, and you meet the need
Yeah.
in the best way that you can satisfy that need right where you are.
Yeah. What are those resources around me? How can I do it best?
Right.
We have 4 distinct seasons here in like Western New York, and a dairy farm in California doesn't have that.
Mhm.
So we farm very differently than someone in California or New Zealand or, so
So, growing up on a farm, did you have to milk cows?
I did not have to milk cows. My family was vegetable farmers, really,
Oh.
by trade. Yeah.
Okay.
Dairy's actually kind of my family did get into dairy farming, but I was like loved plants and vegetables when I went into college.
Isn't it funny? Because when you say farm, I just think it was a dairy farm.
Yeah, no,
But
it
it
was
was-
not a dairy
okay.
farm. No, vegetables. So,
I see.
yeah, I guess I kind of gotten more into dairy farming interest was I had to take one animal science credit to graduate from Cornell, and I heard dairy cattle principles was pretty not easy, but there's quite a little bit of a dynamic between the plant people at Cornell and the animal people.
Oh,
so I went to take my one animal science credit, and that's where I met my now husband in dairy cattle principles. So
okay. And your husband is?
Stephen Gould.
Good.
So,
Okay. So
yeah.
you met at Cornell.
We did, yeah.
And where's he from?
He's from Pavilion,
Okay.
which is where we live now. So,
Okay.
part of the Southern Kingdom.
So he brought you to the Southern Kingdom.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
Good. So just tell me briefly about your family. Did you have siblings?
Yeah, I have 2 sisters. I'm the oldest.
Okay.
We're all J's, Jill, Julie, JV.
Okay.
So it's kind of a, I don't know, fun thing. Yeah, my mom was a farmer and came from a farming family, and my dad was a truck driver. And together they kind of built their own farm and trucking company and
Right.
businesses.
Oh, great.
And
So entrepreneurs.
yeah, I grew up around entrepreneurs for sure. Yeah.
Great. Good. And so you went to high school. Did you know that you wanted to do something with farming, or?
No, I was really interested in like politics and government was kind of
Okay.
I thought I was history and things like that. So.
So you graduated from
I
what high
graduated
school?
from Notre Dame High School.
Oh, that's in
Batavia,
Batavia.
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. And so then you went to Cornell
I did.
and
Yeah.
you majored in.
Agricultural sciences.
So when did you make that switch from politics and
Yeah, we're
people
gonna go
to?
like really into my story.
Well, I think you're very interesting.
Yeah, so I actually, my junior year of high school, I'd been going to Elba, and I went to a summer program at Georgetown because I was interested. I wanted to. I thought that was like the mecca of like if
Sure.
you wanted to do political science, you have to go to Georgetown. Was
Right.
like what I thought, and I got into a summer, like a 2.5 week summer program, and while I was there, I learned about the PAGE program, which is.
And what is that?
It's at the time there was the House PAGE
Oh,
program
right.
and the
Oh,
Senate
okay.
PAGE program.
Sure.
And it's kids, 16-year-olds basically get to work on the floor of the House of Representatives. And
What an amazing opportunity.
I know, and so we actually did a Capitol tour, and I saw the pages on the House floor, and I was like, who are these people? And like, how do you get, like, I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And came back and was like determined to go back to DC, and so I applied with Louis Slaughter's office.
Okay.
And
It was our local congresswoman.
at the time, yeah.
Mhm.
And I also applied, it was Hillary Clinton was our senator, so I applied to try to be a Senate page.
Okay.
I just put my application out.
Sure.
And I got accepted and went my junior spring to be a page in the House.
So you actually achieved it.
I did, yeah. I
Oh,
went to DC.
wow. We could do a whole show on that.
Yeah, sadly the page program is gone in the House.
Okay.
But yeah, so I spent the spring in DC and was a documentarian page, so I rang the bells on the Hill for votes, which
Wow.
was neat. Yeah, and I guess coming back after that experience to regular high school, I wanted to do some different things, and
Mhm.
so there were some opportunities at Notre Dame that made sense academically. So,
Okay.
but while I was at Page School, I had a chemistry teacher that kind of got me more interested in agriculture,
Mm-hmm.
and was like, "You should go to Cornell," and I was like, "I guess I hadn't really thought about it." So,
It's a fine institution.
yes, I have no complaints.
And my dad got his PhD there,
Yeah.
so I have to put in a little plug for that. Good. So, okay, so what happened then when you graduated? You
From Cornell,
from Cornell,
I moved to Bentonville, Arkansas.
and why is that? Who would want to move to Bentonville, Arkansas?
I got a job as an assistant buyer at Sam's Club,
Okay.
and I guess coming out of college, I wasn't really sure where I wanted to go work in food and agriculture, but it was kind of like who's the biggest and who does it the best in terms of interacting with people and food, and you very quickly come to Walmart, like Inc. in terms of supply chain, and yeah, I was kind of determined to go work there after I started learning more about the company and what they were trying to do from a sourcing standpoint. So.
And what was that like? Because we all know Walmart. You know, we all shop at Walmart. And so what if someone is watching this interview and would say, well, I'd like to work for Walmart. What can you just give them a couple sentences of how they would do that?
Yes, like
and the
corporately,
training?
yeah. Getting into the corporate offices, I kind of got lucky in terms of they were recruiting out of Cornell at the time, because it does take time from the stores moving up into like the corporate
Okay.
home office, but they do a lot in operations, which was the stores in terms of
Okay.
their recruitment and local talent and things like that. But getting in the corporate office, right out of college, it kind of comes down to in the colleges they are recruiting out of at the time.
Okay.
And that's to get into buying and merchandising and things like that. So I kind of got lucky with the timing that Cornell and Sam's Club was building this relationship because there was alumni there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's not an easy thing. Applying for jobs out of college is like,
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah.
it's quite a,
But you sort of hit the jackpot, it sounds like.
I did, yeah, I got lucky too. You know, there was an alum on campus that was at Sam's Club, and he really wanted to see more. But yeah, you get luck, and I think following up and
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. You obviously, I'm so glad you're here in Perry because you'll obviously be very successful.
I hope so.
I think so.
Yeah.
So let's just talk a little bit more about what you did at Walmart with the vegetables, and then we'll talk about how you came to decide you were going to be an entrepreneur, and we'll really start talking about your business.
All right. Yeah. So when I was at Sam's Club, which is a division of Walmart US, it was all bulk buying, and that was all greenhouse vegetables, peppers, tomatoes, and cucumbers, which primarily all come from North America. And there I was with a senior buyer, so I was really getting like mentored into buying and managing suppliers and farmers and the flow of inventory from like farm to shelf, which there's millions of dollars invested in that.
Right.
It's
And it's so important that it has to be fresh.
Oh yeah, because it's
So-
rotting from the moment you pick it. Like sadly,
Yeah.
it is. Like it's not so.
Yeah.
And just changing something like a decimal place at Sam's Club is like $500,000 of inventory, which it's a big deal to a grower. So how do you manage that inventory and the
Right.
flow, and because they're managing their labor, and
Right.
so I got to work with a really great senior buyer that kind of showed me the ropes in terms of how to be a large scale produce buyer, I think, and then got the opportunity to go to Walmart US's global food sourcing division, and then I was sourcing for Walmart supercenters, which was
Okay.
yeah.
And we talked a little bit about it. Sourcing means that you were working directly with the farms.
Yes,
And the
yeah.
farmers who were producing the crops
Yep.
that you would buy and
Yeah.
sell to me.
Yeah,
My
yeah. I would
husband, right, to
find
the
them,
customer.
onboard them, manage the existing ones, and you align them to the distribution centers. So.
Right. And what did you take away from that you can apply to what you're doing now with your own business? I'm sure you have just a wealth of understanding of how the big system works and working with people. So what did you learn that you can apply?
Yeah, I
Here.
guess. I think about
Probably
my time,
everything.
I know. I think about my time at Walmart is almost another, like, it was a master's degree,
Yes.
essentially, or like an MBA in terms of the quality of trainings I got there that they paid for, negotiation trainings, Dale Carnegie type things. So there's a lot of that very like leadership, relationship management, coaching and mentoring is like a big part of the culture there.
Yeah.
Just studying like the Walmart story, like Sam Walton. Like,
Amazing.
Yeah.
Story. It's sort of the American dream.
Yeah, it is.
Isn't
Yeah.
it?
And you read his book and you're like, wow, like he was so innovative at the time. Or some people kind of compare him to like what Steve Jobs did for kind of like my generation. That's what Sam Walton did for another generation in terms of the innovation and supply chain. And so.
Right. And with him, it all started with a negative, like, no, we're not going to loan you money, right?
Yeah,
And so he said, okay,
Yeah.
well, I'll start my own bank.
Yeah.
Am I right? Is that?
Yeah, I don't know if he does. The Walton family does have their own bank today. I think it was like his cousin that had
Okay.
Arvest Bank, but
Okay.
yeah, they didn't let, they got made fun of when they went to New York City to buy clothing for the first time, and they were just like, okay, well, we'll go figure it out, and like pack their bags. So it's a fascinating company to study, and
Yeah.
I still follow everything Doug McMillan does, and
Okay.
like
He's the CEO.
he's the CEO today,
Okay.
yeah, and you see who's on the board of director. You can kind of get a sense of where these
Where it's
companies,
going.
yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed working for a publicly traded company too. I think that was a neat experience because you can always go read the report. Like,
Right.
it's getting released, so
Right.
and it trickles down to what your day-to-day job is. So, in
Good.
terms of,
All right. Well, let's just sort of transition now into your day-to-day job. So you go from the biggest business, really, in
Yeah.
the United States, right? Is
yeah,
Walmart?
yeah.
To having your own business. So how'd you go about doing it? And first, let's talk about the idea behind
Idea,
your
okay.
business.
Yeah,
And the name of the business?
is Butter Meat Co.
Butter Meat Co. All right. Can you just talk about how you came up with that name?
Yeah. Maybe I should go back to the idea for the business because
Okay,
that does lead
great.
to
To the name.
the name, because I had some good friends in town that were visiting, and I think you probably knew growing up around dairy farmers, like you always had some dairy beef in your freezer, and that was just kind of what you ate, and your family ate it, and it wasn't necessarily something that I think we're always like proud of eating. It was just like, this is what we eat. And they were visiting, and they live in Washington D.C., and I was like, oh, we have no food, and I was like, oh, we just have some old dairy cow steaks, and they were kind of like, oh my gosh, like we're cooking dinner, and the one is a chef background, and
Okay.
he was so excited, and I was like, you need to like chill out, like
Because did he already know
He
this
already-
trend?
this trend, yeah. And I didn't really take him seriously, because he's always like got an idea, is the but you've got to have friends like that all the time. And anyways, he cooked the steaks and it was like phenomenal. And I don't think Steve and I had ever thought about the quality of beef we were raising on the farm, or just what was the quality of animals in our own community.
Well, you don't really think of eating Holsteins.
No, we don't.
Dairy cows.
Yeah. Like dairy breeds are, I mean, I call it Angus propaganda because there was a significant amount of propaganda towards consuming the Angus breed for.
Right, okay.
They put on weight, fat. There's an efficiency to them, but dual purpose animals, which are dairy breeds, they have a milking life and kind of a beef life. We've just tended to not appreciate it in American meat culture, where it's pretty common in Europe, or it's really what people ate.
Especially in Spain.
Spain,
I
yeah.
did some research,
Yeah, Spain and France, there's quite a bit of a movement towards it. So, yeah, our good friend Ewa was like, you got to do this, and you got to do, and then I started reading about it, and it was kind of like, oh, there is something here, and why do we think the beef we raise isn't good? You start asking these questions, and then you start looking at the data for like the GLOW counties, and you're like, we know there's a lot of like living milking animals,
right?
And you're like, there's over 100,000 like mature animals that are.
And what is the lifespan of a Holstein, for instance, or a dairy?
They'll live up to like 10 years.
Okay.
It's kind of a question of efficiency in terms of, are they converting the feed they're eating into milk, that you're still kind of making money off of them as a milking animal.
And how long do they milk them?
They can milk, I mean, they can last almost like 10 years. So Steve's a better expert at this question.
That would be your husband who's in the studio.
Script. Yeah, he's the dairy farmer. Like I said, I'm just the plant person, and I'm the beef person. And
so, Steve, can you milk a cow for 3 to 6 years before? Is that generally?
It takes 2 years for them to give milk.
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years to give milk. Okay.
So if they live for 10, you milk them for 8 years.
I see. Okay. All right.
And so traditionally, your Angus or any beef you eat is slaughtered under 30 months or 2 years old. So when you're eating a mature dairy cow that's at a milking life, it's between usually like 4 and 10 years old.
And actually, the flavor, from what I read, some of the information you gave me, is delicious.
Yeah.
And I said something to my husband, who has been involved with dairy farming, and he just said, "Oh yeah, it's the best." And it's like, well, why did I know about this?
Yeah. It gets lost because it goes to the livestock auction, and then it just gets sold off and kind of gets.
And it sort of seems like such a waste.
Yeah, we don't call out breeds. You don't go to Wegmans and say like, I want a Jersey or a Hereford. We still have like the certified Angus program, but there's not a component of breed and age, and I kind of talk about it like wine or cheese. I think we did briefly that day when we met, and it's just like
the aging process.
Yeah, well, there's a terroir about where it was produced and what it ate,
and if it was grass fed, and
if it was grass fed,
roamed the pastures. And,
the pastures, and just eating an animal that's significantly older, like the color of it's drastically different. So, age and breed, we haven't really even experienced that basic part in kind of American meat culture. So
so this industry is just very, very young, and you're getting in on the ground floor.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's becoming very trendy. It's the cool thing to do. Yeah,
because there's people looking for also like a little more environmentally friendly beef right now, and it's it's not just produced to make meat.
Right.
It's the economic impact from a dairy breed is significant versus a traditional beef animal. So.
Now, so you went, oh my gosh, we can do this.
Yeah.
And so then how did you translate that into this beautiful storefront you have at 1 North Main Street in Perry, which you are going to want to visit?
Well, I was like, I don't know much about meat or beef. And you start looking around, you're like, a lot of people don't. Like, we've kind of lost that in our food culture, and even in our agricultural, there's no slaughter program at Cornell anymore. It's really gone to the wayside. But I ended up going to Cobleskill because they do a slaughtering processing certification program with food safety and HACCP. So I was in Cobleskill for 3 weeks last May, and I decided I needed to slaughter some I was like, what if I go do this and I don't understand
yeah.
it? Like,
Oh, I didn't know that you would slaughter them.
yeah,
Oh.
I went and slaughtered. I don't slaughter the meat I'm selling currently because it has to go through a USDA processor. But yeah, I was like, I need to go slaughter. I need to see how it's done. I need to understand the USDA
Every aspect
inspection.
of the whole
Yeah.
business, yeah.
To see, you know, I didn't know anything about it. I don't know if many people do. I learned so much, and it was hands-on, and I wasn't as grossed, like I won't say grossed out. I think that it's a negative word that gets put with like slaughtering and butchering, but it's like a necessary process for
Yes.
a lot of things. So it's a lot more like dissecting. Like I think I loved I did like a frog dissection thing when I was younger, and when you're butchering, it's kind of like dissecting an animal or science lab or the USDA inspector actually was a former veterinarian
Oh, okay.
that we worked with. So
Oh, interesting.
yeah, they're kind of doing almost like an autopsy on the animal to make sure there's no issues or
Right.
things like that. So
Okay, so when did you decide you were going to really do this then?
it was May.
May
Kind
of
of.
2019?
Yeah, May of
Okay.
2019.
And then how did you come to choose Perry,
Very.
New York?
Well, actually, kind of what got me going a little bit more in May was I had earlier in the year I'd met Nicole Maniple with the Letchworth Gateway
right.
Villages.
Okay.
And she shared a lot of stuff that Perry was working on with Mount Morris and Geneseo and Letchworth State Park, and there was kind of this energy that
There's a wonderful energy here.
it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think about it as like all these like sticky things started to happen.
Right.
And I went
And
to Toronto.
So organic.
Yeah, it's
too.
it was, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like you kind of just walking by the storefront and waving in, and it's like, hello, come in.
I just have to tell our viewers what happened. We're filming on a Tuesday night. Well, Saturday I drove by, and the storefront has been hidden, with behind paper, and all of a sudden the lights were on, and I saw someone there, and I thought, I need to interview her for this TV show. So I was like, and I just ran in. And you were so gracious.
Yeah, no.
And I just thought, oh boy, this is wonderful to have you in town, and we really want to support you. And
yeah, I felt supported before Buttermeco actually had a name. It was like my LLC name when I first kind of interacted with some people in Perry, and then when it was in June, I kind of really came back after doing the slaughtering and butchering, and feeling like I can do this, and I understand this like part of the supply chain right now.
Yes,
so,
well, that's very helpful.
yeah, I was like, how can I piece together?
And so when the business opens on
February 1st.
that's a Saturday.
It's a Saturday. Yeah.
Good. Right. Put that on your
Yeah,
calendar. And so you will have a freezer full of meat.
Yeah, I'll frozen.
Okay.
Yes, I'll have beef.
And butter as well, since it's called butter meat.
Buttermeat. I'm working on getting the butter. I got to get it from our co-op to resell. But
Okay.
yeah, I'll have spices, single origin spices, and some different. Trying to find other ingredients to sell that really highlight like the nuances of food. Like I was having Steve smell like 6 different cinnamons today. Because they're from different countries.
Sure.
And using different cinnamons for different cuisines, and
Right.
really connecting the idea of like tasting and flavor.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You're making it an experience.
Yeah.
And so will you have any cooking classes
I
or?
don't have any cooking classes. I do plan on doing some more like butcher demonstrations and
Okay.
like breaking down some things. Working on like a milk tasting actually. I was talking.
Good.
Yeah.
Tell us more about the milk tasting.
Um,
I mean, is that from your dairy farm?
it's not directly from ours. Some will be from our co-op. Some will be
Okay.
from other.
Okay.
I'm gonna get lots of different things, different pasteurization methods, different fat content. We never just get to appreciate the differences and the nuances of just what the variety of fluid milk options we have.
Right. And they're more and more foodies.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a very important component of life, quality of life
Yeah.
now.
Or just finding what you enjoy and what flavor profile you like, or so yeah, we're gonna do some different tastings of milk, and just something to have people come in and all ages can kind of enjoy and be like, taste the differences.
Good. And I have to say, your store is beautiful.
Yeah,
The
I got
ceiling.
lucky with the space. The ceiling
Whoa.
is beautiful. Yeah.
And this is a shout out to Greg O'Connell.
It is, yeah.
Who bought that beautiful block and restored it. It's a pre-Civil War block. And for those of you that might be saying, where is this? It's where Decker's Music Company used to be. It used to be a music
And what's
store.
a music store? Okay.
Yeah, which is fun to sort of know the history.
I know. I was like, I need to learn more of the history there.
But the ceiling is beautiful.
The ceiling's beautiful, and the light fixtures that were there, and so.
And I like the pink.
You like the pink? Yeah.
I do like the pink. Yes, very much.
Yeah.
So now what will the hours be, and who is your customer?
Yeah, okay. I'm going to start out Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, 10 to 6, kind of winter hours. And
Okay.
then hopefully
That
phase
sounds
in.
like a good idea.
Yeah, kind of as the summer comes and there's a little more activity at Letchworth and grilling and burgers and things like that, kind of expand the hours this summer.
Okay, 10 to 6. And will you do it all yourself? Do you have someone that will be working with you?
Right now it's just me, and I'm trying to keep things really lean just because I am still, I think I learned about the farm part, learned about the slaughter part, and now it's kind of like really fine-tuning the customer experience and what do people want, because you can kind of think but
I was telling some people about the store, Butter Meat Company, at 1 North Main Street in Perry, and they said, "Oh, we're so glad there's a meat market again."
Yeah.
Because there had been one that maybe 10 years ago, and that I thought did quite well.
Yeah.
People were very loyal to it. And so she was thrilled. She couldn't wait.
Yeah, and that's
to
kind of like if that
come
stuff
see it.
really takes off and people really just want a meat market and not cool spices, or I'm gonna kind of get a pulse of what people want. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's,
Well,
yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just give you an idea, but you've really got to see
Yeah,
what your
right.
customers want.
Well,
and-
a business is a living thing.
Yeah.
You have to see what works and accentuate that and what doesn't work and see what your customers want. The one thing that's really lovely about your business is that right beside it a new bakery is
A new
coming
bakery,
in.
yeah.
Do you know the name of the bakery?
It's For the Love of Flour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually the owner is transporting it from Warsaw to Perry. Okay, so we have a bakery, and then right beside that we have
A wine bar.
a wine bar,
Yeah.
and right beside that,
A pizzeria.
yeah, and then right around the corner is a brewery.
Mhm.
So for all you young and beautiful people,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
and you're all sort of within your 30s, 40s, 20s. It's sort of a younger
Yeah.
establishment, and I hopefully will draw customers of all ages, but certainly for people who are interested in high quality experiences in a small town.
Yeah.
It really is very exciting.
No, that was kind of, you mentioned finding Perry, and kind of it was like, this feels like the right block and area to
Right.
try to make this work in, because you can't do it by yourself. Like,
No, you can't.
Like, you ask me, it's just me. It's like, yeah, it's just me doing the like day-to-day grind of the business operations and building it, but.
But also, I guess I want to say, what can we do to help you? Obviously, come and buy your product,
Yeah.
but we can help by social media.
Yeah, social media. I'm very active on Instagram, Facebook, and Google Business.
Okay, so everyone should sign up.
Yeah, follow me on. You can sign up for the website launch on the website.
Okay,
get some
and
email updates.
we'll get some of that information and have that available at the end of the show.
I think feedback's helpful, and questions, or what people want to know more about beef, and like,
Right.
what are those experiences they're looking for.
Right, and I think you want that return customer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just think you'll be very successful.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, it's such a change because you lived in New York City for a while.
I
You had
did,
said
yeah.
when you were working with Walmart and also in Atlanta. Is that right?
I was in Miami with Walmart and Blue Apron in Manhattan.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so to be back here, and what brought you back to this area?
I'd say my husband did, and I
Yeah.
love the area. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you decide, okay, I'm ready now to sort of come back to the roots, or was it was just your handsome husband? That you
So it was a lot of my handsome husband, and also
yeah.
you can only do like the not fast-paced thing for so long, but just you're like, where's this all going?
Yeah, I think we all sort of get to that stage in our lives. I think you're a little young for that, but it's sort of like, well, what is important?
Yeah.
You know, what are the basics? And, you know, when I first moved here to Perry in 2005, I met some young women at the bookstore. I was just talking to them, and I said, why did you want to live in Perry? You know, because they were not from here. And they said, the most important thing, they each said this in their own way, is community. I wanted a community where I felt safe and where my voice could be heard.
Yeah.
And I think that really speaks to the quality of life that people are seeking.
Yeah, I think that's true I think that's what's neat about Western New York in general. It's we've got Rochester and Buffalo, which are decent sized cities, but we still have this like rural, you know, today I had the guy from the health department today at the county, and he's also the weight and measures guy, and like he can answer questions for like 4 departments, and you know, I feel like I've made friends in the Wyoming County.
Good.
You know, so, and that is neat because you don't get to do that in New York City or Miami or even Bentonville. You're just
right. It's part of that quality of a small town when
Yeah.
you do know people, and someone can just run up and say, "Will you be on my TV show?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, anything else we should cover?
Actually, I didn't answer your Butter Meat Co. the name question.
Okay, please do.
So I will, because
Yes.
I could not come up with a name, and like had lists and I don't know, Google Docs shared with friends, and then I just couldn't imagine anyone explaining the business to anybody with like a lot of the names, and I was like, well, with Butter Meat Co., if people think it sounds like better, that's fine. But if they can remember butter meat, and they can say like, I don't know, Jill's doing something with like butter, and it's like dairy cow meat, and like in a few sentences they could explain what the business model was without some difficulty, whereas like I think sometimes it's like you've got to turn them into advocates, and the name makes it easy to kind of explain or understand hopefully what the business is. So I was like, it's gonna be Butter Meat Co. And some people are like, oh, it's Better Meat Co. And I'm like, yeah. So
well, to me it sounds like comfort food.
yeah,
You know, anything with butter, you know, it sounds good.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned the pink, like I want it to be really like friendly and approachable, because like so much about meat is like kind of masculinized, and it's very masculine and like grilling, and you know, there's not really like a lot of feminine touch to like, you know, beef and meat, and I do make jokes that it's like all old lady cows and like
Well, I like your comment here. You've never had beef like this. Then it says, wise up and experience the powerful flavor of our matured meat. Receive 10% off your order of $100 or more with code HOLYCOW. So
yeah, no,
good.
it's kind of a play on like well, eating like dairy beef's kind of like being an outlaw, so that's why it's kind of like spunky, and then kind of the idea of like an explorer, like foodies like to explore food, and so that's kind of combining those two ideas of like.
Well, you know, I think we have to wrap up pretty soon, but the whole idea sounds so fresh, and you're fresh. You're a fresh idea, you know, and you're in a fresh new block in Perry, and it's just the right time for this to come our way, and we're very grateful to you and Steve for choosing Perry and coming to Perry, and we will do everything we can to really support you and see you thrive.
Yeah, well, thank you, and thank you for inviting me and stopping by. And
of course, we'll be regular customers.
Okay.
Because my husband already knows that it's the best meat.
Yeah, okay.
So
that's great.
So thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jessie.
Thank you, Jill. And thank you for joining us on the Perry Connection. And I predict that very shortly we will have Steve Gould as a guest to talk a little bit more about the dairy industry in Wyoming County. So stay tuned for that.